Extinction sounds final, like a door slammed shut forever. But in real life, there is this messy middle zone where a species can vanish from science for decades, sometimes for a century, and everyone starts speaking about it in the past tense. Then one day, a camera trap fires at 2 a.m., or a researcher spots a weird track in the sand, or a DNA sample lights up in a lab like a flare. These are called Lazarus species, not because they are magical, but because they come back from a place we assumed there was no coming back from. So here are 10 animals that were thought extinct, or basically gone for good, that were recently documented again, and the proof is on camera. Picture this: a creature that looks like a hedgehog and an anteater got merged into one stubborn little tank. It lays eggs, it has spikes, it has a long snout, and for decades it was almost a ghost. Attenborough's long-beaked echidna was known to science from a single specimen collected in 1961 in the Cyclops Mountains of what is now Indonesia. After that, nothing. No confirmed photos, no confirmed video, just silence. Then, teams started doing something that sounds simple, but is actually the difference between myth and proof. They listened to indigenous and local knowledge about where it might still survive. Then, they put camera traps in exactly those places, and the cameras delivered. The animal was filmed by camera traps in the Cyclops Mountains. It is one of those moments where the world feels bigger again. Like, if this can still be alive in rugged mountains, what else is out there avoiding us? This one is a perfect horror movie concept if you're afraid of what might be under your feet. De Winton's golden mole had not been seen since 1936. People assumed it was gone, especially because its habitat along South Africa's west coast had been hammered by mining and development. But golden moles are built for disappearing. They do not leave obvious tunnels. They swim through sand. You can stand right above one and never know it is there. So researchers fought stealth with technology. They used environmental DNA, meaning they sampled soil and looked for genetic traces, basically a forensic sweep of the dunes. They also used a trained detection dog to help locate signs in the right areas. And in late 2023, it happened. Evidence confirmed the species was still there, with the rediscovery announced publicly and backed by fieldwork and lab confirmation. That is the part that gets me. This animal was not missing in some deep jungle. It was missing in sand near human activity, hiding in plain sight for nearly 90 years. If you wanted to design a creature that screams ancient world, you make a giant tortoise on a volcanic island. The Fernandina giant tortoise was known from a single male collected in 1906. After that, the species was widely considered lost forever. Fernandina Island is an active volcano, not exactly a cozy retirement home. Then, in 2019, a single female tortoise was found alive on the island during an expedition. There were also signs like tracks and droppings that hinted she might not be alone. Later genetic work confirmed what people desperately hoped. She belonged to the long-lost species. That confirmation was tied to a scientific paper in communications biology, and it turned legend into living. They even gave her a name: Fernanda, which feels fitting because this entire thing reads like a character returning in the final act after everyone assumed they were dead. This is one of the coolest rediscoveries because it is not just a photo, it's the kind of footage that you replay 5 times like, hold on, is that actually it? The black-naped pheasant pigeon was lost to science since 1882. That is not, we missed it for a bit, that is generational. In 2022, a team searching Ferguson Island in Papua New Guinea used local ecological knowledge and camera traps. And near the end of the expedition, they got it. A clear camera trap image of the bird walking right past the lens. Reports also describe photo and video capture as part of the rediscovery story. There's even a quote from a researcher saying they thought the odds were less than 1%. Then the bird strolls by like it owns the place. These animals are not waiting for us. They are surviving. Our cameras finally just landed in the right spot. This is the world's largest bee, and it looks like something you would expect to hear in a nightmare, not in a biology paper. Wallace's giant bee was last officially recorded alive in 1981, and for decades people feared it might be gone. Then in January 2019, a team found a living female in Indonesia associated with termite nests, and it was photographed and filmed alive again. The photographer, Clay Bolt, captured captured some of the first modern images that proved it was real, right there, alive. What makes this story extra intense is that the location has been kept quiet at times to protect the species from collectors and habitat pressure. Because yes, even a giant bee can be poached. So the footage is not just a wow moment, it is also a reminder that rediscovery can put a target on a species if people are not careful. This animal looks like a tiny deer that forgot to finish loading in. Rabbit-sized, shy, and it has little fangs because nature loves being dramatic. The silver-backed chevrotain, also called the Vietnamese mouse deer, went unconfirmed for decades, with the last record often cited around 1990. People feared it might be gone. Then researchers set camera traps in coastal forests of southern Vietnam, and the cameras caught it. The first photographs of the species in the wild with scientific evidence published in Nature, Ecology, and Evolution. This is one of those rediscoveries that feels like it should be easy. How does a hoofed mammal vanish? But in places with intense hunting pressure and dense habitat, it can happen fast, which is why the paper and follow-up reporting basically scream the same message. Great, it's alive, now protect it. This one has a special kind of weight because it was not just missing, it was officially treated as extinct. The hula painted frog is from the Hula Marshes. After habitat destruction, it was believed gone, and it became famous as the first amphibian declared extinct by the IUCN. Then, in 2011, a frog was found again in the area, kicking off the rediscovery story. And in 2013, researchers published work describing the rediscovered frog as a living fossil and confirming it was a survivor of the lineage we thought had collapsed. The idea that a creature can sit in a tiny pocket of habitat, hanging on for decades while the world declares it gone, is both hopeful and terrifying. Hopeful because life persists, terrifying because it means we can be wrong and we can also be too late. This is the one that feels like a creature from an alternate timeline. A tiny mammal with a long, flexible nose, related to a group that includes elephants, but it fits in your hands. The Somali sangi, also called the Somali elephant shrew, has been lost to science for about 50 years. A team set more than 1,000 live traps across multiple locations, and they did not just find it. They documented it properly with photos and video. The first known visual documentation of living individuals for science in a very long time. And the best detail is how they found it. They combined local interviews with fieldwork and analysis, like detectives trying to match a rumor to physical reality. Then, reality blinked first. A tree kangaroo, known from basically one historic specimen, vanished for about 90 years. Then, someone finally photographed it in a remote mountain forest. Tree kangaroos already feel unreal. Kangaroos are supposed to be on the ground, hopping. But tree kangaroos climb, live in forests, and move in ways that feel like the world got patched with an extra feature. This tree kangaroo was known from a specimen collected in 1928, and for a long time it was treated as possibly extinct, or at least incredibly uncertain. Then, in 2018, it was photographed in the remote mountains of New Guinea. The story is one of those perfect examples of how rediscoveries often happen. Someone goes into difficult terrain that most people do not bother with. They are there for one reason, sometimes plants, sometimes birds, sometimes geology, and then they spot something that is not supposed to be there. The photos were reported widely by major outlets, and they turned the tree kangaroo from a museum mystery into a living animal again. This is the kind of rediscovery that creates a new question immediately. If it survived for 90 years with almost no documentation, what does its population actually look like? Is it hanging on by a thread, or is it quietly stable in a place humans rarely enter? That is why follow-up work matters so much. A photo proves existence, it does not prove safety. If you told me a species thought extinct could be rediscovered near a major city, I would have raised an eyebrow. The Victorian grassland earless dragon had not been seen in Victoria for more than half a century, and it was widely treated as gone from that region. Then, in 2023, it was rediscovered west of Melbourne, announced publicly publicly with photos. Zoos Victoria describes the rediscovery as a turning point, because once you confirm a population still exists, you can restart surveys, habitat assessments, and protection efforts with real urgency. And here is the detail that makes this feel like a movie. Detection dogs have been used to help locate individuals in the grasslands because the lizards are small, camouflaged, and spend time in burrows. The idea that the species can be there, but essentially invisible unless you have trained noses on your team, is wild. It is a reminder that extinction is not always a dramatic ending. Sometimes it just is us losing track and then finally learning how to look properly. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlovsky, and I will see you again soon. Bye!